Is nationwide time 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by pure water is
29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston, 32 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Nora Gay Banton.
In nationwide news at this hour, voters have more trust in Prime Minister Holness than the government he leads.
That's according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools.
Life imprisonment for convicted Portland businessman Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald and his co-convict.
Working group formed to revamp Jamaica's BPO sector amid mounting challenges.
How do we reposition Jamaica as still a very attractive BPO destination? And we're going to have to hit the road.
Electoral Office says it's finalizing preparations for the by-election in Northeast St. Anne, set for Monday, September 30.
In news from the rest of the world, Haiti says it supports a UN peacekeeping mission to fight the country's violent gangs.
Republican anger clouds Zelensky-Biden victory plan meeting.
In headline sports, 2 Jamaicans are down for the first ever all-female international track and field meet in New York tonight.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, voters are expressing trust in Prime Minister Andrew Holness than the government he leads. We'll get some perspectives from young Jamaicans. A student of Vassar College, Ronald Dino McLean, UA's Calicia Vassal, and UTEC's Sharissa Pinnock.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, who is the best performing minister in the Holness administration? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. Message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
At 6:40 in the nation's business, Jamaican Boyd Malvo, the DC sniper, was back in court recently. Forensic social worker for Boyd, Carmita Alvarez, and journalist Terry Tolliver will discuss the latest developments.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, Thursday, September 26, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details.
The Nationwide Blue Dot polls, powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
Voters are expressing more trust in Prime Minister Andrew Holness than the government he leads. That's according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls, powered by Total Tools. 46% of respondents say they trust the Prime Minister, compared to the 43% who say they trust his administration. There's been a 6 percentage point increase in trust in Holness since September last year. Norige Banton reports.
Of the 46% of respondents who say they trust Andrew Holness, 14% expressed strong trust, while 32% trust him somewhat. 11% were unsure. Public trust in the Prime Minister is divided, as 43% of respondents say they distrust Holness. That's just 3 percentage points less than those who trust him. It should be noted that the margin of error for these polls is plus or minus 3%. Of the 43% expressing distrust in the Prime Minister, 27% say they distrust Holness greatly, and 16% say they distrust him somewhat. When the trend is considered year on year, trust in the Prime Minister has actually moved from 40% in September last year to 46% in September this year. Notably, The level of trust voters are expressing in the Prime Minister is 3 percentage points higher than the trust expressed in his government in these same polls. Trust in the government stands at 43%. As was the case with distrust in the government, the data are again showing that supporters of the People's National Party and unaffiliated voters are driving the negative sentiment about the Prime Minister. 72% of comrades say they distrust Holness. Only 20% of them trust him, and 9% say they're unsure. 45% of unaffiliated voters distrust the Prime Minister. 37% say they trust him, and 18% are unsure. However, while distrust among unaffiliated voters is still relatively high, it's actually fallen from 58% in September last year. Trust among the unaffiliated demographic has also grown from 28% in September 2023 to 37% in September this year. Respondents identifying themselves as JLP supporters expressed high levels of trust at 84%. That's grown from 75% last year. 12% of JLP supporters say they do not trust Holness, while 4% are unsure. The nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools were conducted between September 6th and 19th. It sampled 1,246 respondents. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
The Nationwide Blue Dot polls, powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
Portland businessman Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald and his co-convict Oscar Barnes have been sentenced to life imprisonment for the 2020 murder of his wife Tonya Hamilton MacDonald. The men must serve nearly 29 years in prison before being eligible for parole. The sentence was handed down Thursday afternoon by Justice Chester Stamp. Shalois Michael has more.
Tonya Hamilton MacDonald was Beachy Stout's second wife. She was stabbed to death on the orders of her husband in July 2020. Her car was set ablaze with her body still inside it. The body had 9 stab wounds. Her throat was also slashed. In March this year, a 7-member jury found Beachy Stout and Barnes guilty of murder. On Thursday afternoon, the matter came to a close when Justice Chester Stamp sent the men to prison for life. They will have to serve 28 years and 11 months before being eligible for parole. Beachy Stout was also sentenced to 4 years and 6 months for conspiracy. Barnes will serve 6 years and 6 months for that crime. Beachy Stout was visibly upset as the sentence was being handed down. Barnes simply smirked. Both men have maintained their innocence. The Beachy Stout murder trial gripped national attention as the 70-year-old once popular businessman stood trial for conspiring with men to murder his wife. Beachy Stout had reportedly accused her of being unfaithful to him. The prosecution's case rested on a convict's testimony, cell site data records, and actual phone call recordings said to be between Beachy Stout and the man he hired to kill his wife. The prosecution's star witness, convicted contract killer Denverlin Bubba Minot, testified that Beachy Stout promised to pay him $3 million to kill Tonya. Minot reportedly subcontracted the hit to Barnes after he began an affair with the deceased woman. He eventually lured her to Sherwood Forest to buy guns. It was there, Minot said, that Barnes stabbed her to death. Minot is serving a 19-year prison sentence for his part in the brutal murder. Beachy Stout is facing additional murder charges in relation to the 2009 killing of his first wife, Merlene MacDonald. He is scheduled to stand trial for that murder in 2026. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Member of Parliament for Western Hanover, Tamika Davis, says the police have increased their presence in Harding Hall following a triple murder in the community on Tuesday.
I have heard from some members of the community, and of course, with a triple murder, everyone is concerned. The fear factor will increase. I have spoken to Superintendent Andrew Nish, and he assures me that he and his team are working assiduously to see how best they can solve these murders, because it is not in a typical area. It's still early in their investigation, and they do not have reason to believe that it is related in any way to the other murders that have occurred. They are pursuing some leads that they have. They are increasing police presence in the area.
Harding Hall is in the Green Island Police area in Hanover, a crime hotspot in the parish. 2 men and a woman became victims of 2 separate gun attacks on Tuesday. The deceased have been identified as 61-year-old Melvin Davis, 45-year-old Andre Colley, and 43-year-old Stacey Ann Williams. In the first incident, Davis was shot and killed at his home at 10:30 p.m. 25 minutes later, Colley and Williams were also killed by gunmen at their home. The police say an intensive investigation is underway. The Major Investigation Division, MID, is also said to be on board to assist the police. MP Davis says Hanover has seen a reduction in murders since the start of the year.
So you know that 3 persons died. This would have caused the numbers. Again, it falls under the Green Island Division to trouble the stats a bit, because we had a decline in murders, which was 13 less than last year. So that's a 24% reduction in the number of murders. And so even with the 3 on Tuesday night, it's still an overall reduction. And that is a good thing. It tells us that this incident aside, we are moving in the right direction in relation to having Hanover being restored as one of the safest parishes in the island.
Tamika Davis, MP for Western Hanover.
Industry Minister Senator Obin Hill has announced the formation of a dedicated working group to revamp Jamaica's business process outsourcing BPO sector amid mounting problems. The minister was responding to the latest developments involving global outsourcing giant IBEX, which recently revealed plans to scale back its operations in Jamaica. Despite these setbacks, Senator Hill remains optimistic about the BPO sector's potential, but acknowledged the urgent need to address several issues. Siobhan Campbell reports.
IBEX's financial report outlines its decision to shut the 2 centers and reduce its contact desks by 1/3. The company cited inflationary pressures and the rise of generative artificial intelligence, which has prompted many clients to re-evaluate their strategies. Minister Hill attributed IBEX's decision in part to the ongoing labor shortage in Jamaica.
IBEC has been here for a long time. They have decided to close those operations that you saw in the press. They're not closing everything, but they had let us know from some time ago that, they, funnily enough, this is one of the fallout from good news. The moment we hit 4.2% unemployment, the IBEC came to the association, and in a meeting that I was present, made it clear that they were very concerned, because part of what they look for is availability of people at 4, and they're saying that at 4.2% in most any emerging market, you're very close to full employment. And so that was a consideration.
The industry minister also pointed to other concerns, such as the island's high energy costs and fierce competition from other countries, as factors further limiting Jamaica's BPO prospects.
They have other considerations that are, that are cost related. Some of it relates to the transporting of their people. Some of it, of course, clearly AI is making an important impression in their plans. IBEX operates around the world, many countries. And, they brought up the issue of the competitiveness of Philippines and India. So they're looking at all those issues. But the one that triggered it was the relatively lower unemployment figures that we have. And, of course, an important issue that they brought up as well, that I have to be frank with, is the cost of energy in Jamaica seems to, in their mind, keeps going up.
Nevertheless, Minister Hill remains hopeful, emphasizing that the BPO industry will continue to be a significant source of revenue and employment. To this end, he tasked various government agencies with crafting a comprehensive strategy to bolster Jamaica's standing in the global outsourcing arena.
Yes, we're watching it. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the leaders of the BPO, and the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, which is the regulator, and JAMPRO. And I have put a working group together to come back to me by Monday with a plan as to how we now look at remarketing Jamaica, given our low unemployment and the other considerations that we have. How do we reposition Jamaica as still a very attractive BPO destination? And we're going to have to hit the road.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification, and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rent-A-Kill is
29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston, 32 out west in Montego Bay.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a famous gamer with viral videos all over the internet. I'm going to be rich. Good thing I'll already know how to take care of my money since Mommy got me this Sure Start account.
Open a CIBC Caribbean Sure Start account for your kids and give them a head start on financial smarts with a $1,200 sign-up bonus from us. We believe in their dreams as much as you do, so let's get them going together. Start young, start strong with Sure Start from CIBC.
Continuing the news, the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, says it's finalizing preparations for the by-election in Northeast St. Anne set for Monday, September 30. In a statement on Thursday, the EOJ says polls will open at 7 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. It says after the closing, preliminary counting of ballots will immediately take place at each polling station. The EOJ says training has been completed for Election Day workers who will be deployed to conduct polls in 141 polling stations across 27 voting locations in the constituency. The EOJ added that over 43,000 voters are registered in Northeast St. Anne based on the May 31 voters list to be used in the by-election. It says only electors registered to vote in the constituency will be allowed to vote in the by-election. Voters are entitled to 3 hours time off from work to vote in the by-election on September 30. The 3 hours time off to vote is in addition to the usual lunch hour. The law, however, does not apply to persons who commence work at 10 a.m. or later or end work at or before 2 p.m. The EOJ says the by-election will be monitored by the election center. The constituted authority, which comes into effect whenever an election notice is issued and has the ability to halt elections, will oversee the process.
Farmers in Logwood near Alligator Pond in South Manchester say for the second time in 3 months they've experienced a heavy blow. Recently, days of heavy rains washed out their fields. In July, the farmers were similarly affected by Hurricane Beryl. A farmer, Damien Newman, says he lost his escallion crop.
A lot of flood damage, water damage, rubble come down, grass off a land gone, pipe mash up, plants wash away. As you can see, the road them dig out, and yesterday all of this happened. And it has to look good to some places, because all the main road so come in the community that completely mash up. No vehicle can come from that entrance, the main entrance. But if you come from that side, Alligator Pond side, will come in. Last of that crop. My last scallion, minor damage to the cauliflower crop. Well, I did cover the sweet pepper them, because they're still in a tree, so nothing really wrong with those. Pipe damage, grass wash off a land and so on.
Damien Newman, a farmer. Another farmer, Owen Charlicombe, says his Christmas plans are in limbo.
Lose time and scallion, because of that me have you now. Well, if you know me, nothing say me have no Christmas, Christmas mash, because right now, the time, I buy the time and plant it, and see we leave out of what me buy and plant. So, I have to go wait till this grow, come to perfection, see, make back a move with it. Yes, but me have one shop where me rent, and the breeze, they take off the top of it. So me have to fix it, double loss, right, yeah.
Owen Charlicombe, a farmer of Logwood in South Manchester.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The head of Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council says he supports a UN peacekeeping mission to fight gang violence, still overwhelming authorities. Edgar Leblanc-Fiel made the announcement at the 79th session of the UN General Assembly on Thursday. It's the first public support announced by a Haitian government official since the U.S. proposed a UN peacekeeping mission earlier this month. They see this as one way to secure more resources for a UN-backed mission led by Kenya that officials say lacks personnel and funding. President Fiel told the sitting that he is convinced that this change of status, while recognizing the errors of the past, cannot be repeated, would guarantee the full success of the mission. On Wednesday, President Fiel met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and others to discuss the state of the mission, which began when the first contingent of Kenyan police arrived in Haiti in late June.
The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, today met with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris at the White House to discuss his victory plan. The Ukrainian president hopes the plan will pressure Russia into agreeing a diplomatic end to the war. Details of the meeting have been kept confidential, but President Zelensky is likely to ask the U.S. President and Vice President for continuing military and financial support as well as security guarantees.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. Voters have more trust in Prime Minister Andrew Holness than the government he leads.
That's according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools.
Life imprisonment for convicted Portland businessman Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald and his co-convict.
Working group formed to revamp Jamaica's BPO sector amid mounting challenges.
How do we reposition Jamaica as still a very attractive BPO destination? And we're going to have to hit the road.
EOJ says it's finalizing preparations for the by-election on Monday in Northeast St. Anne. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Nora Gay Banton.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
Yes, Kemlani Mart is making deals.
Really? Deals like what?
On scratch, dented, new furniture and appliances.
Oh, that's great.
And that's not all. Kemlani Mart has tiles, toilets, doors at crazy low prices.
So I can make a deal on a sofa set?
Of course, and dining room sets, outdoor furniture, ACs and more. No reasonable offer will be refused.
Only at Kemlani Mart, Manor Center and 77 King Street.
I love this place, you see.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
The future of manufacturing is now. Join the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, in association with VM Group for an unforgettable evening on September 28, 2024 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. They're celebrating the industry's brightest minds and the groundbreaking achievements shaping Jamaica's future. Request your tickets at bit.ly/2024 awards tickets or email awards@jmea.org to learn more. Let's witness the future. September 28 at 6:30 p.m., the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's Mount Pleasant Academy and Police FC of Trinidad and Tobago are goalless, approaching 20 minutes in their Group A CONCACAF Caribbean Cup club game at the Hazel Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain. A win for Mount Pleasant will see them joining fellow Jamaican club Cavalier at the top of the standings and would in the process eliminate Police. The third Jamaican team in the tournament, Arnett Gardens, had their semi-final hopes dashed at the National Stadium last night after playing out a goalless draw with second place Real Hope of Haiti. The board of the Jamaica Football Federation has taken a decision to suspend the membership privileges of the parishes of Trelawney and St. Thomas for failing to comply with a directive of Congress on June 1. This directive was for all parish elections to have taken place by August 31. The JFF says the suspension of membership privileges will be in force until the parish have their election and the process is satisfactory to the JFF. The governing body for football in Jamaica says if at the next meeting of the board the elections are still outstanding, then the board will consider further action if necessary. However, they were quick to point out that the election for Trelawney has been set for October 12. Many of the world's top women's track and field athletes are set to compete for record prize monies when the inaugural Athlos NYC meet gets going this afternoon. Well, it should be starting just about now in New York. The two-time world champion Danielle Williams, the American Olympic 200 meters champ Gabby Thomas, and Kenyan 1500 meters serial world record breaker Faith Kipyegon are amongst the stars in action at the women's only track invitational. Alexis Ohanian, Reddit co-founder and husband of 23-time tennis Grand Slam champ Serena Williams, has launched the event, which boasts a record US $500,000 prize pool for a women's track meet. Winners across 6 disciplines will receive US $60,000 each. The Diamond League, in comparison, offers US $15,000 first prize across its 15 series meetings, rising to $30,000 for the final. There are 2 Jamaicans in action, Williams in the 100 hurdles and Atoya Gould Toppin in the 800 meters. The Ethos meeting continues wider investment in the sport and its athletes, with World Athletics paying Olympic champions for the first time at the Paris Games this year. In June, the American legend Michael Johnson announced the launch of a lucrative new athletics league starting in April next year, and it's called Grand Slam Track, with a total of $12.6 million in the prize pool. And last week, the Diamond League said it would raise its prize monies for 2025 season going forward. Athens, New York sees 36 athletes competing at the Icon Stadium across the 100, 200, 400, 800 and 1500 meters, as well as the 100 meters hurdles. In addition to prize monies, victors will also receive a crown by New York jewelers Tiffany & Co. And that meeting for Michael Johnson, which will be held in next year, starting next year, we're now understanding that the first meet in the series Grand Slam Track and Field by Michael Johnson and his group, the first meet in that series will be in Jamaica next April. That's what we're hearing. Now, the LP Martin Funeral Home St. Mary Cricket Association Elite 35 overs competition bowls off at the Jack Rivers Field on Sunday. 8 teams, Gale, Boscobel, Jacks River, Hamilton Mountain, Geddestown, Mango Valley, Highgate and Bunnygate will take part in the competition. Captain of Gale, the Social Development Commission Parish Champion Sheldon Price, said his team was pleased to be a part of the competition and was ready and raring to go. Executive Chairman of LP Martin Funeral Home, Zachary Irvin, says sponsoring the tournament is part of their corporate responsibility.
By investing in this association, we are not only nurturing the talents of young cricketers, but also instilling in them the values of teamwork, perseverance, and dedication. Our support goes beyond the boundaries of the cricket field. It extends to the fabric of our community, as we recognize the importance of giving back. By investing in the St. Mary Cricket Association, we're investing in the future leaders, mentors, and role models of our community.
That's Zachary Irvin, Costly Construction, Sandals Royal Plantation, and Sandals Duns River are the other sponsors. And we're going to leave it there for sports for now. We're going to be back, though, at 6:05 with much more.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
You want to play all your favorite Supreme Ventures games like Cashpot and Lotto in a one place? Plus bet on sports with Just Bet and horse racing with MBet? Come take a step in at the new SV Games app. All of the games you love in a one place. Step in and play all your numbers. Bet on all your sports and get enough chances to win in the only gaming app you need. SV Games from Supreme Ventures. Visit supremegames.com to download the SV Games app. More ways to bet, more ways to win at your fingertips. Must be 18 years or older to play.
Make a deal. Yes, Kemlani Mart is making deals.
Really? Deals like what?
On scratch, dented, new furniture and appliances.
Oh, that's great.
And that's not all. Kemlani Mart has tiles, toilets, doors at crazy low prices.
So I can make a deal on a sofa set?
Of course, and dining room sets, outdoor furniture, ACs and more. No reasonable offer will be refused.
Only at Kemlani Mart, Manor Center and 77 King Street.
I love this place, you see.
Make lasting impressions. Register now for the Make Your Mark Business and Personal Etiquette Conference set for October 30 at the Jamaica Pegasus. Sponsored by Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Monographic Printers, JPS, Nationwide News Network, Supply County, Jamaica Boilers Group, From Thought to Finish, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, Visual Tech Solutions, The Jamaica Observer, and Main Event Group. Come make your mark and attend the Business and Personal Etiquette Conference October 30. Call 876-978-6001 or visit www.makeyourmarkgroup.com now to register.
We a big deal when we touch the ground. Yeah, I can see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3 piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Go get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, no left feet. It's a big deal.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Energize your life the right way with DBJ, yeah, you must can save. Enough energy solution. Choose one today for your house or your business. Money I go save. Yeah, DBJ. DBJ. Energize your life the right way.
The Development Bank of Jamaica Limited is here to help you with the purchase and installation of renewable energy systems to help you save on your energy bill. Contact your business banker or bank today. Energize your business or home the right way with DBJ Energy Loan.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Highway 2000 East-West. Automated T-Tag lanes reduce the cost of collecting and managing cash at our toll plazas, and drivers of Class 1 and Class 2 vehicles who use the T-Tag pay a lower toll fare than those who use the manually operated toll booths. These motorists also get their 10th trip through any one toll plaza free. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience.
The latest result from the nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools are in.
What do the results say about Holness's standings as Prime Minister?
What do they say about the popularity of the JLP?
What do they say about Mark Golding and the PNP? Listen daily to our major newscasts for the details, and then join us for a special edition of Nationwide at 5 on Friday, September 27, when we reveal which party the majority of registered voters would choose at the next general election.
The nationwide Blue Dot polls are powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations. The supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Good afternoon. It's 5:35 and it is the 26th of September, a lovely Thursday. Well, rainy weather, but I consider that lovely. So, it's the cover story and I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. How are you, Siobhan?
Tired, Sanjay. It's been a rough day. Been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh dear.
Right,
well,
no.
we have to soldier on. Well, voters are expressing trust in Prime Minister Andrew Holness than the government he leads, and that's according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls, and that's powered by Total Tools. 46% of respondents say they trust the Prime Minister, compared to the 43% who say they trust his government. There's been a 6 percentage point increase in trust in Mr. Holness since September last year. Nora Gay Banton reports.
Of the 46% of respondents who say they trust Andrew Holness, 14% expressed strong trust, while 32% trust him somewhat. 11% were unsure. Public trust in the Prime Minister is divided, as 43% of respondents say they distrust Holness. That's just 3 percentage points less than those who trust him. It should be noted that the margin of error for these polls is plus or minus 3%. Of the 43% expressing distrust in the Prime Minister, 27% say they distrust Holness greatly, and 16% say they distrust him somewhat. When the trend is considered year on year, trust in the Prime Minister has actually moved from 40% in September last year to 46% in September this year. Notably, the level of trust voters are expressing in the Prime Minister is 3 percentage points higher than the trust expressed in his government in these same polls. Trust in the government stands at 43%. As was the case with distrust in the government, the data are again showing that supporters of the People's National Party and unaffiliated voters are driving the negative sentiment about the Prime Minister. 72% of comrades say they distrust Holness. Only 20% of them trust him, and 9% say they're unsure. 45% of unaffiliated voters distrust the Prime Minister. 37% say they trust him, and 18% are unsure. However, while distrust among unaffiliated voters is still relatively high, it's actually fallen from 58% in September last year. Trust among the unaffiliated demographic has also grown from 28% in September 2023 to 37% in September this year. Respondents identifying themselves as JLP supporters expressed high levels of trust at 84%. That's grown from 75% last year. 12% of JLP supporters say they do not trust Holness, while 4% are unsure. The nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools were conducted between September 6th and 19th. It sampled 1,246 respondents. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
The nationwide Blue Dot polls, powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
Thank you, Nora. Well, to discuss this further, we're going to be joined by a few up-and-comers, some youngsters who will probably be shaking up the space in a few years. They're students from the Vassar College in New York. That's Ronaldinho McLean. He's studying political science and economics, and he's been on Nationwide quite a few times now over the years. And I believe we had him during the the 2024 local government elections, if I recall. We also have a student from the UE Mona, Calicia Vassell. She's studying integrated marketing and communication with a minor in cultural studies, and a student of the University of Technology, Sharisa Pinnock, who is studying computer science. Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So let's start with you, Ronaldina McLean. Welcome back. It's good to see you. What do you make of the latest numbers in terms of Holness's trust factor comparative to the government that he leads?
Thanks, Javon. Good afternoon to your listeners. Thank you for having me back on again. Looking at the numbers, I think the top line broadly should be that not much has changed. So voters' top issues are still safety, affordability, employment, good governance. Confidence and perception remain what it has been for quite some time. Trust and distrust are roughly equal, although it must be pointed out that more Jamaicans would say that they're significantly distrustful of Andrew Holness than would say that they're significantly trustful. So one way to put that would be to say, and more people say they really don't like him than say that they really do. But that's usually what you find. That's to be expected. But most things remain the same. Two things have stood out to me, though, as things that have changed to significant extent. One is that there has been a really, really, really big swing, it seems, in perception among people over 65. And, ruling out the possibility that, this is due to stuff like sampling errors and whatever, a direct argument could be made, I should say, that that can be directly correlated to maybe the tax relief that was rolled out as part of the government, tax packages earlier this year. That's one. Another big thing is that the biggest movement in distrust between shares of the population, let's say PNP voters, JLP voters, undecided voters, is obviously among undecided. And there was a greater move in people who say that they're distrustful, that decreased, than people who say they are trustful. So if I'm the Prime Minister right now, I'm looking at that independent population, that middle of the country, the group of the country that would win an election for the JLP, because, partisans, you'll always have 75 to 80% on either side who say they trust or distrust, depending on the side. I'm looking at that group, and that group wins for you if you mobilize them enough. And I'm thinking, well, what's warming them up to me at this stage, and what am I doing right that's pulling them over, and how can I continue that trend?
We're going to come and speak more about that, but let me bring Calicia in the discussion, because the Prime Minister has a higher confidence rating than his party. Does this mean that the Andrew factor is still alive, that bro-God factor that young people seem to have loved back, I would say, a year ago? Does it still have that impact?
I would say that he does, especially given that the statistics also show that he's risen in popularity or favorability among young people. I think that also might be a testament to just his relatability as a political leader that cares about young people. I think that's also shown by the fact that, at the start of his political tenure as Prime Minister in 2016, some of the things that he would have set out to do, or rather one of the things that he would have set out to do was to increase opportunities for youth, and that's something that we've seen a lot of. We've seen an increase in vocational training programs. We've seen an increase in scholarships that are available to youth, both at the undergraduate and the master's level. So I would say, yes, he still has that favorability among youth, not just from the perspective of, he's rugged and he's relatable, but also just because he appears to be a leader who objectively is fighting for the betterment of the youth of the country in one way or the next.
But is it strong enough, though, Calicia, to pull young people to go to the poll when the election is called?
I think in as much as we can consider youth to be one broad demographic, within that broader demographic there are smaller subgroups, and in order to appeal to those smaller subgroups, additional efforts might have to be made, because currently I will admit that there is some apathy that exists within youth broadly in respect to politics. So in an effort to engage those youth, better political strategies might have to be implemented to appeal to them. And, as Ronald, would have said, statistics show that there's an increased favorability among a particular type of people, and what the Prime Minister really needs to do at this point is double down and figure out what is making these people draw closer to me. So similarly, his favorability has increased a little bit in respect to youth. So it's time for him to double down and, as Ronald, rightfully said, figure out what's making them draw closer to me, and how can I improve upon these efforts to improve or to lessen the apathy that currently exists within youth towards politics and to draw them to the polls as the election time draws closer.
Well, we're up on the break, gentlemen and ladies, but we'll bring in Sharisa Pinnock after these messages.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs, from luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
Tell them cut the plastic, cut it before things get drastic. Educate Jamaica, that a few tactic. Yes, the reusable, no to single use. The youths them a practice. So dash with that. Make we have a plastic free summer. Single use business we no want. The ocean no want fi taste plastic waste. So make we find more sustainable ways to make sure. Say we have a plastic free summer. Protect the environment where we have down ya. Play your part, use plastic smart with the plastic free summer. Yeah, so we a start.
A message from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well, at CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, as we touch upon the matter of trust. The Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools are out, and they show that the Prime Minister enjoys a 46% trust. 46% of respondents say they trust the Prime Minister, and that is a slight bump over the last time the polls were conducted of about 3 points or 6 points since last year, and it also puts the Prime Minister above his party by 3 points comparatively. And I wanted to bring in Sharisa Pinnock. As you know, a poll is a snapshot in time, and this one was conducted just before the matters of the Integrity Commission report would have come to light in the House of Representatives. And I want to ask you, Sharisa, do you think now that report has come out that the Prime Minister's trust deficit might increase based on what is in that document?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think that in light of the investigations and, all the talk around his assets and his business portfolios, it would definitely result in a decrease in trust. I've tuned into the news on all angles, and it was just last time I saw, I don't remember who it was, but she was very passionately, and it was all over TikTok, where the young people are passionately talking about how she felt deceived. And, the comments were very much on her side, and rightfully so. It's the issue of corruption and the issue of accountability within the government is something that I think everyone should take seriously. And while no conclusions have come, I definitely think that more people would be in the unsure, would go over to the not sure part of the poll, because before anything comes out, or you don't want to jump to conclusions or be fall to misinformation and propaganda. But yeah, for those who are mindful of it, I definitely think that it would go to more not sure, or the trust would decrease.
I see many of our listeners on YouTube asking the question, where are the numbers for the opposition? Don't worry, those are coming. We don't have those today, but those will be coming soon. Do not worry about that. We are just focusing on the Prime Minister and the government at this moment, but the opposition will also have their spotlight soon to come. Sharisa, let me ask you further. The Prime Minister is still more popular than his party. That has been the case since these polls have been conducted going back now a few years. Why do you think that he maintains that advantage over the party that he leads?
Well, I think, in my opinion, partisan politics is becoming less and less popular, especially amongst the youth. And so while you might not be affiliated with a certain party, or you don't really care about politics, or you're indifferent, individuals always have a way of associating persons and being more relating more to people than groups or individual faces. And I do think that Andrew Holness would have had the privilege of serving terms before, and so he would be more popular than his party because, again, of the weight that his name brings. So yeah, I definitely think it's due to partisan politics becoming less and less, and you'd be more inclined to associate with an individual than just a particular party.
Ronaldino, one of the things that you mentioned earlier is that of the distrust of the Prime Minister, and we recognize that the poll shows that while more Jamaicans trust the Prime Minister, the distrust rating is also high. 43% of the persons who were polled indicated that they don't trust the Prime Minister. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, one thing I said earlier, you can always expect that you are going to have a lot more people who are significantly distrustful of any given politician than you have people who are significantly trustful of them. But I think it's important to look at trends. And when we look at the trends here, distrust is high, but distrust has actually been moving even more than trust has been moving. So what that says is you have a lot more people who are becoming a little bit more cautiously warmed up to the Prime Minister if we look at the trends over time through this poll. In one group, like I quoted earlier, people over 65, distrust in the Prime Minister has been halved. It's been halved from, I think, around 54 to about 27. So something like exactly halved. And trust has gone up by a significant margin, although less than distrust has gone down. So I think trends are important, and when we look at trends, a lot more people are moving over into that onshore category, but distrust is generally coming down.
But doesn't that kind of fly in the face of normal politicking? He's into the, 8th year of his political tenure. One would expect that in this time period, especially as you approach a general election, the Prime Minister would be losing some level of trust in the people, or just some level of popularity among the people, as would be the normal trend worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there has not been over his tenure significant ramping up of distrust speaks to the Prime Minister's ability, especially I think over the past year, although maybe we might see a difference with the recently published Integrity Commission news and the furor that has been made in the public about it, but generally speaks to the Prime Minister's intent and aim at, trying to keep up the perception of, if anything goes wrong within his ranks, him weeding it out or him shaking things up, trying to keep up that image has definitely inured to his benefit in this specific regard. And I don't think we've seen any major scandals to rock the Prime Minister's boat in ways that we see scandals generally across the world when it comes down to like a tail end of a politician's tenure or term when they're running for a re-election.
Mm-hmm. And Kalicia, Ronaldina just mentioned the matter of the Integrity Commission and that investigation into the Prime Minister's financial affairs. Do you think that will affect the public trust?
I think it might affect it to a particular extent. Because, I mean, as around, what I've said earlier, there's always going to be a percentage of people who are distrustful of the Prime Minister. And certainly having the Integrity Commission delve into his financial matters, especially after a year or two of financial disruptions within both the public and private sector, people might be weary of that just because of the precedent that exists. However, I think ultimately I would trust the general populace to make the informed decision based on the information that is put forward by the Integrity Commission in their reports. Because, I mean, ultimately, while they would have launched their investigation, Prime Minister Holness would have given his statement and it would have released a press release regarding it. So I expect it to affect it to a particular degree, but ultimately it does come down to the ability to uphold true democracy and make decisions based on what the populace thinks is best, based on their informed decisions. Yeah.
And Sharisa, even before the tabling of the Integrity Commission report, the People's National Party has been hammering the Prime Minister on his statutory declarations. It's essentially become one of the central pillars of their campaigning over the last few years. Why does it seem then that this has not seemingly shaken the trust of the Jamaican people in the Prime Minister up to the point when this poll was taken?
That's interesting. I think that their efforts just weren't as effective as they thought, because the opposition, as we know, people were seeing a lot of distrust in them, especially considering, their internal affairs, their internal conflicts, and so many people, I want to say, just didn't really take them as seriously. So it felt as if it was just an opposition trying to take down the government, trying to get power in all ways, as they always do. So I think that it didn't really faze people as much until, know that the Integrity Commission thing has come up and it's kind of blew up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just don't think their messaging was as effective. It felt I think cheap to a certain point. It felt as if they were just saying things just to say things, opposing just to oppose. And honestly, so a lot of people, that turns off a lot of people towards it. They're just like, So, yeah, definitely I just think it wasn't effective to that point.
And Ronaldina, let me hear you on this trust dynamics. Given where we're at now with the Integrity Commission report, do you think that trust dynamics could affect the outcome of the election?
I think when you have numbers that are this close, and when you have over the past year an opposition that has tightened the disparity between government and opposition in public polling, then anything can significantly affect the outcome of the election. I think time is always what we have to wait on. See how people respond. I love that we had this poll. I want to see lots more polls like it because, like Siobhan said, polls are only snapshots in time, and they're not necessarily predictive of the ultimate outcome of any election. We have to see a lot more data. We have to see how people's opinions change and so on. But it's definitely a possibility.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That is Ronaldinho McLean, a nationwide favorite. He is a student of Vassar College in New York. We also had with us from UEMONIA, Calicia Vassal. She's studying integrated marketing communication with a minor in cultural studies, and a student of the University of Technology, Sharisa Pinnock, studying computer science. All the best in your studies, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
That has been your cover story. The headlines are next at 6.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Portland businessman Neverton Beach Stout McDonald and his co-convict Oscar Barnes have been sentenced to life imprisonment for the 2020 murder of his wife Tonya Hamilton McDonald. The sentence was handed down on Thursday by Justice Chester Stamp. More in this report. Tonya Hamilton McDonald was Beachy Stout's second wife. She was stabbed to death on the orders of her husband in July 2020. Her car was set ablaze with her body still inside it. The body had 9 stab wounds. Her throat was also slashed. In March this year, a 7-member jury found Beachy Stout and Barnes guilty of murder. On Thursday afternoon, the matter came to a close when Justice Chester Stamp sent the men to prison for life. They will have to serve 28 years and 11 months before being eligible for parole. Beachy Stout was also sentenced to 4 years and 6 months for conspiracy. Barnes will serve 6 years and 6 months for that crime. Beachy Stout was visibly upset as the sentence was being handed down. Barnes simply smirked. Both men have maintained their innocence. The Beachy Stout murder trial gripped national attention as the 70-year-old once popular businessman stood trial for conspiring with men to murder his wife. Beachy Stout had reportedly accused her of being unfaithful to him. The prosecution's case rested on a convict's testimony, cell site data records, and actual phone call recordings said to be between Beachy Stout and the man he hired to kill his wife. The prosecution's star witness, convicted contract killer Denverlin Bubba Minot, testified that Beachy Stout promised to pay him $3 million to kill Tonya. Minot reportedly subcontracted the hit to Barnes after he began an affair with the deceased woman. He eventually lured her to Sherwood Forest to buy guns. It was there, Minot said, that Barnes stabbed her to death. Minot is serving a 19-year prison sentence for his part in the brutal murder. Beachy Stout is facing additional murder charges in relation to the 2009 killing of his first wife, Merlene McDonald. He is scheduled to stand trial for that murder in 2026. Member of Parliament for Western Hanover, Tamika Davis, says the police have increased their presence in Harding Hall following a triple murder in the community on Tuesday.
I have heard from some members of the community, and of course, with a triple murder, everyone is concerned. The fear factor will increase. I have spoken to Superintendent Andrew Nish, and he assures me that he and his team are working assiduously to see how best they can solve these murders, because it is not in a typical area. It's still early in their investigation, and they do not have reason to believe that it is related in any way to the other murders that have occurred. They are pursuing some leads that they have. They are increasing police presence in the area.
The deceased have been identified as a 61-year-old Melvin Davis, 45-year-old Andre Colley, and 43-year-old Stacey Ann Williams. In the first incident, Davis was shot and killed at his home at 10:30 p.m. 25 minutes later, Colley and Williams were also killed by gunmen at their home. The police say an intensive investigation is underway. MP Davis says Hanover has seen a reduction in murders since the start of the year.
So you know that 3 persons died. This would have caused the numbers. Again, it falls under the Green Island Division to trouble the stats a bit, because we had a decline in murders, which was 13 less than last year. So that's 24% reduction in the number of murders. And so even with the 3 on Tuesday night, it's still an overall reduction. And that is a good thing. It tells us that this incident aside, we are moving in the right direction in relation to having Hanover being restored as one of the safest parishes in the island.
Tamika Davis, MP for Western Hanover. Industry Minister Aubin Hill has announced the formation of a dedicated working group to revamp Jamaica's business process outsourcing BPO sector amid mounting challenges. The minister was responding to the latest developments involving global outsourcing giant IBEX, which recently revealed plans to scale back its operations in Jamaica. Minister Hill says a meeting was held with the relevant stakeholders on Wednesday.
Yes, we're watching it. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the leaders of the BPO and the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, which is the regulator, and JAMPRO. And I have put a working group together to come back to me by Monday with a plan as to how we now look at remarketing Jamaica, given our low unemployment and the other considerations that we have. How do we reposition Jamaica as still a very attractive BPO destination? And we're going to have to hit the road.
Aubin Hill, Industry Minister. Minister of Agriculture Floyd Green says the shortage of pimento on the island is caused by Hurricane Beryl. In July of this year, it was reported that there was an estimated $266 million worth of damage to several crops in the agricultural industry, including pimento. This sparked growing concerns about a hike in the prices for pimento from $500 to $750 per pound. Minister Green says while he's not sure about the increase of pimento prices, he knows that the crop was severely affected.
I think what has happened is that Hurricane Beryl would have tremendously affected this year's pimento crop, because at the time that Hurricane Beryl came, which was early in the hurricane season, but in the time when people would be reaping pimento, it would have again wiped out a number of plants, and we're seeing the impact of that.
He says the ministry is putting plans in place to start the replanting process for the pimento crop.
What we will have to do, which we do have a program, is to look at some replanting. So we have already started to distribute grafted pimento trees and seeing how we could get back out there. So, I think what you're seeing is just a normal demand and supply where there has been a downturn in the supply, but still a consistent demand, then normally get higher prices.
Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Outperform, outlast, guilty. We top performance, guilty. Jackama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. 3 parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road.
Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
I've been hearing about this constitutional reform thing. You know anything about it?
Yes, constitutional reform is a chance for us to Jamaicanize the constitution.
But how?
Enough things changed since 1962, and we have matured as a nation. So modernizing the constitution will reflect our current societal values.
Oh, a constitution for Jamaicans, approved by Jamaicans.
Are you ready for the journey? Join us on the road to Republic. Think independence, think Republic. A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well, at CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
To do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy, all in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alwick Straby. We kick things off with some football as Jamaica's Mount Pleasant Academy and Police FC of Trinidad and Tobago are goalless out of 45 minutes in their Group A CONCACAF Caribbean Cup club game at Hazel Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain. A win for Mount Pleasant will see them joining fellow Jamaican club Cavalier at the top of the standing and would in the process eliminate Police. The third Jamaican team in the tournament, Arnett Gardens, had their semi-final hopes dashed at the National Stadium last night after playing out a goalless draw with second-place Real Hope of Haiti. Defending champions Mona clobbered Gainsted High 18-0 in the Issa Digicel Manning Cup football competition today. Mona are now on 12 points from 4 starts. Meanwhile, St. Catherine High today maintained their unbeaten run, beating Papine 4-0 in their last outing. In other games, last season's beaten finalist Heidel beat Dunoon Tech 4-1 and Charlie Smith and Jonathan Grant played out a 2-2 draw. The board of the Jamaica Football Federation has taken a decision to suspend the membership privileges of the parishes of Trelawney and St. Thomas for failing to comply with a directive of Congress on June 1. The directive was for all parish elections to have taken place by August 31. The JFF says the suspension of membership privileges will be enforced until the parish has their election, and the process is satisfactory to the JFF board. The government body for football in Jamaica says if at the next meeting of the Board of Elections are still outstanding, then the board will consider further action if necessary. However, they were quick to point out that the elections for Trelawney has been set for October 12. Reggae Girls forward Khadija Bonishaw scored twice as Manchester City booked their place in the Women's Champions League group stage after beating Paris FC 3-0 on the day for an 8-0 aggregate win. After a resounding 5-0 first leg victory in the French capital last week, City added 3 more and kept another clean sheet at Joe Stadium today. It was the first game Gareth Taylor's side have reached the group stage since the 2020-21 season when they fell to Barcelona in the quarterfinals. City made a lightning-fast start when Chloe Kelly topped home in the second minute. Shaw doubled their lead in the 31st minute before scoring her second in the 65th minute from the penalty spot. Many of the world's top women's track athletes are set to compete for a record prize when the inaugural Altos New York meet gets underway today. Two-time world champion Danielle Williams, American Olympic 200 meters champion Gabby Thomas, and Kenyan 1,500 meters world record holder Faith Kipyegon are among the stars in action at the women's only track invitational. Alexis, Reddit co-founder and husband of 23-time Grand Slam tennis champion Serena Williams, has launched the event, which boasts a record $500,000 prize pool for a women's track meet. Winners across 6 disciplines will receive $60,000. The Diamond League, in comparison, offers $15,000 first prize across its 15 series meetings, rising to $30,000 for the final. There are 2 Jamaicans in action, Williams in the 100 meters hurdles and Natoya Gould-Toppin in the 800 meters. The Altos meetings continues wider investment in the sport and its athletes, with World Athletics Spain Olympic champions for the first time at the Paris Games this year. In June, American legend Michael Johnson announced the launch of a lucrative new athletics league starting in April 2025 called Grand Slam Track, with a total of $12.6 million in prize money. And last week, the Diamond League said it would raise the prize money for the 2025 season. Altos NYC sees 36 athletes competing at the Icon Stadium across the 100, 200, 400, 800 and 1500 meters, as well as the 100 meters hurdles. In addition to prize money, victors will also receive a crown by New York jewelers Tiffany & Co. Now to cricket, as LP Martin Funeral Home's St. Mary Cricket Association Elite 35 Overs competition bowls off at the Jacks River Field on Sunday. 8 teams, Gale, Boscobel, Jacks River, Hamilton Mountain, Geddestown, Mongo Valley, Highgate and Bonegate, will take part in the competition. Captain of Gale, the Social Development Commission Parish Champions, Sheldon Price, said his team was pleased to be a part of the competition and was ready and raring to go. Executive Chairman of LP Martin Funeral Home, Zachary Irving, says sponsoring the tournament is part of their corporate responsibility.
By investing in this association, we are not only nurturing the talents of young cricketers, but also instilling in them the values of teamwork, perseverance and dedication. Our support goes beyond the boundaries of the cricket field. It extends to the fabric of our community, as we recognize the importance of giving back. By investing in the St. Mary Cricket Association, we're investing in the future leaders, mentors, and role models of our community.
Zachary Irving. Dwayne Bravo has confirmed his retirement from all cricket after his final season in the CPL was cut short by injury. Bravo, who will be 41 next month, is the leading T20 wicket taker in history. He had previously called time on his international career in 2021 and stepped away from the IPL last year as he began to move into coaching. In the last 12 months, he has worked with Chennai Super Kings and Afghanistan's men's team. In a post on Instagram, Bravo said, "My mind wants to keep going, but my body can no longer endure the pain, the breakdowns and the strain. I can't put myself in a position where I might let down my teammates, my fans, or the teams I represent. So, with a heavy heart, I officially announce my retirement from the sport. Today, the champion bids farewell." In an 18-year career, Bravo helped set the benchmark in T20 cricket, winning titles at the IPL, PSL and the Big Bash, as well as becoming a 2-time world champion with the West Indies. He finishes with 631 wickets in the format from 582 appearances, second only to compatriot Kieran Pollard. Bravo announced before the ongoing edition of the CPL that it would be his last. He had been due to play in the 3rd season of the UAE's ILT20, having been retained by Emirates, but has decided to bow out after suffering a groin injury playing against St. Lucia Kings on Tuesday. Bravo was the most decorated player in CPL history, having won 5 titles in all, including 3 in Trinidad and Tobago Knight Riders alone. He had led TKR to back-to-back titles in 2017 and 2018 before captaining Patriots to their first title in 2021. And finally, in swimming, Australian swimming Miss Unstoppable Kaylee McEwan continued her world record-breaking assault, setting a new short course global mark in the 100 meters backstroke in Adelaide, clocking a time of 54.56 seconds. McEwan, fresh from her history-making second Olympic in Paris and only just returning to the training pool, took 0.33 seconds off fellow Australian Mina Arthurton's 2019 world mark of 54.89 seconds. Kaylee admitted it was tough to come down off the enormous high of her Golden Olympics. I had some solid downtime after the Olympics and only decided to do the short course at the last minute, but it's been fun and very humbling to go training and not make it through some sessions, said McEwan. I'm Alex Ribby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations. The supermarket checkout line or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Now delivers in Kingston and St. Andrew with Quick Cart. Get your favorite juicy patties, breakfast, lunch, and more delivered right to your door. Visit quickcartonline.com or download the Quick Cart app to place your order. Juicy patties and Quick Cart, delivering serious Jamaican food.
Freedom, speed, agility, intelligence, friendship. These are the hallmarks that define the dolphin, the master of the seas, and are the hallmarks that inspire Sterling Asset Management. For over 20 years, we have provided investment products that give our clients financial freedom, and our service is fast, insightful, warm, and genuine. Sterling Asset Management, intelligent investing for the intelligent investor.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. I'm Siobhan Campbell, and it's time for the Public Opinion. A special good evening to our friends on YouTube, and we invite you to also weigh in live in the comments section on today's topic. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been ranked the best performing minister. He's followed by Telecommunications and Transport Minister Daryl Vaz, who is second with a 10.6% of respondents, and he's considered the second best performing minister in 2024. At third is the outgoing finance minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, with 9.7% of those responding, and Dr. Christopher Tufton comes in at fourth at 9.5, and that's according to the latest nationwide News Blue Dot poll powered by Total Tools. The polls were taken between September 6 and 19. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. However, in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking you, our loyal listeners and viewers, who is the best performing minister in the Andrew Holness cabinet? On Facebook, we have Elida Ruddock, and they say the Prime Minister is then followed by the Finance Minister, then the Health Minister, and then the Tourism Minister. Fabian Smith says it's Dr. Clark for sure who beat and teach opposition spokesman on finance. Him's a dead with laugh. Ellerita Mitchell says it's the Prime Minister, followed by Nigel, followed by Tufton, and followed by Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. We also have Isaac Morrison, who says as it's now, it's a tie between the PM and the Minister of Finance. And Aid Donna says it's Dr. Tufton for sure. We have Tia Maria Blake, who says all of them for me. Them are going good. Cheryl Griffith says Nigel Clark, followed by Daryl Vaz, then the Prime Minister, then Horace Chang, the National Security Minister, then Tufton, Floyd Green, Favour Williams, Matthew Samuda, and Ed Bartlett. Don Dunn says it's the Prime Minister for sure, followed by Daryl, then Tufton. And for some strange reason, then Dee Monroe says it's Cliff Hughes. Cliff Hughes, for some reason, is his best performing minister. On Instagram, we have Sensational Simone, who says it's Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, for the people, by the people, vote. The Unchangeable One says it's Dr. Holness, followed by Minister Vaz, followed by Minister Bartlett, followed by Minister Tufton, and Minister Williams, Favour Williams, that is rounding out the top five for the Unchangeable One. For Rodrika Cohen, it is the Prime Minister, Floyd Green, Olivia Grange, Dr. Christopher Tufton, Daryl Vaz, Favour Williams, and the Minister of Finance. H.M. Queen Bromley says a few of them are doing well in my opinion. Vaz, Green, Clark, Tufton, Bartlett, Grange, and Education Minister Favour Williams. Delroy Hay says it's Dr. Holness, followed by Vaz. He has become a top contender. And over on Twitter, we have Borges, who says, it's Kamina for me. When I hear her speak, it's truly inspirational. And the way she makes her way around foreign affairs as a bilinguist is really admirable. Truth Matters J.A. says it's Andrew Holness along with Daryl Vaz. Chris Tufton, they performed well based on the excellent work of Nigel Clark in the Finance Ministry. Manu Girl says, this is hard to be honest, I cannot name one. Have to make a list, and that list is Auburn Hill, Chris Tufton, Nigel Clark, Floyd Green, Ed Bartlett, Matthew Samuda, aka Water Boss, Minister with Portfolio, and Kamina Johnson Smith. Annie Strong says Nigel Clark is number one and Daryl Vaz is number two. Paul Notch South says it's Nigel for sure. Expressing thoughts you won't, says Ministers Nigel, Vaz, Tufton, Bartlett in no special order. And we have Denise McKenzie also, who says it's Nigel, the Prime Minister, then Daryl Vaz. Over on YouTube, let's see who the people say. Cheryl says it is Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness to the world. Angie Favorable also says PM Dr. Holness, followed by Nigel, followed by Vaz. Willow Will says Edmund Bartlett. So that is yours for Willow Will. PB says PM Holness, followed by Nigel, followed by Ed Bartlett, followed by Tufton. And Gloria Johnson says all the ministers are tied. They are doing a very good job, in addition to Desmond McKenzie and Johnson Smith. Beverly Bogle says the Labour Minister, that is Pernell Charles, and Agriculture Minister Floyd Green are also going good. Let's see, Marquise Alfonso says so many of them, it's hard to choose. Carlene Smith says Ed Bartlett, with Prince Charles saying Andrew and Daryl. Precious Soul says the Prime Minister, Nigel, Ed, Bartlett, Vaz, and Tufton. Iona Davis says the PM, Nigel, Chris, Vaz, Bartlett. Affectionate Forest Bridge says the greatness lives in my team. Shower all the way. All right, there's a proud lib, right? We have Errol Murray who say it's Dr. Tufton. We have Randolph Wright say they're all number one performers working for the ultimate betterment of Jamaica. Samantha Gordon says Cartel and Dayton Campbell. All right. Okay, I don't think they're either those people are in government, but all right. MP Media Solutions says it's the PM for sure. Devon McLennan says Norman Dunn. Interesting choice. Okay. Let's see. Sandra Atkinson Hibbert says Mrs. Holness do her thing, but she's not a cabinet minister. I would agree she's doing her thing, but unfortunately she is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. She's not a cabinet minister. We see Gwendolyn Bennett Brooks over on YouTube says Dr. Holness, Nigel, Tufton, Bartlett every time. PB said, best ask who is not performing, Chef. All right. Alex Smith says, number 1 is Dr. Holness. 2 is Williams. I'm assuming that's Favour Williams. 3 is Tufton. 4 is Vaz. 5 is Kamina Johnson Smith. 6 is Nigel Clark. And 7 is the water boss. And that is Matthew Samuda. Marlene P says, PM Clark, Vaz, Tufton. And Bally says Dr. Tufton, Nigel, PM, Vaz, Bartlett, but all ministers are performing. Well, it seems, if I go by the numbers there, it would seem the Prime Minister is hands down the pick of tonight's best ministers over in the Blue Dot polls, as well as on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. And Nigel Clark would come around second, or, well, I could say Nigel is tying with Vaz based on sentiment here. So I'm going to say Nigel and Vaz are coming close ties for second. And then I would put Ed Bartlett as third based on what I am reading here. Thank you, folks, for weighing in, as always. And that has been your public opinion. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32.
If you are 40 and over, CCRP offers a world of benefits. Access to valuable health plans from Sagicor, discounted home and auto insurance from J&GI, and discounts from over 100 retailers and service providers. Enjoy wonderful tours, social events, and much more. Visit our website, ccrponline.org, for details. CCRP, life to the fullest.
Good evening and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Shalois Michael. The American economy expanded at a healthy 3% annual pace from April through to June. The U.S. government says this was boosted by strong consumer spending and business investment, leaving its previous estimate unchanged. The Commerce Department reported that the nation's gross domestic product, GDP, picked up sharply in the second quarter from the 1.6% annual rate in the first 3 months of this year. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has approved a $7 billion loan to Pakistan. The country is due to receive the first $1 billion of the loan immediately, with the balance to be paid out over the next 3 years. Pakistan has taken more than 20 loans from the IMF since 1958 and is currently its fifth largest debtor. The South Asian nation has pledged that it would be the last loan from the international lender. Finally, the Jamaican dollar lost 17 cents and opened trading this morning, selling for an average $158.72 against the benchmark US dollar. Against the Canadian, the Jamaican dollar lost 17 cents and opened trading this morning, selling for an average $117.88. And the Jamaican dollar lost 80 cents and opened the trading selling for an average $210.66 against the British pound. That's the business report. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Good evening.
Here's to the early risers, and we are here all-nighters. The go the extra milers, and let's do it until it works. Workers. People who are powerful because they power through. Day after day, challenge after challenge. You see, true power, it's not something you can buy or collect. It is something that starts on the inside, and you always know it when you see it. Sunshine Snack Peanuts. Proud supporters of the powerful.
Tie your laces, put on something purple, and support the CIBC Caribbean Walk for the Cure. Join us at Hope Gardens on Sunday, October 6th at 6 a.m. We're walking, running, and moving in the fight against cancer. Sign up today at runningeventsja.com. Registration fee $3,000 includes your Walk for the Cure t-shirt while supplies last. CIBC Walk for the Cure, Sunday, October 6th, 6 a.m. at Hope Gardens. All proceeds in aid of the Jamaica Cancer Society.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boy Ting.
as we turn up the heat in the street.
New show.
New vibes.
Same us.
Same us.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger too.
Ow.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Attention, all data protection enthusiasts. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM every Tuesday at 8:20 a.m. and Thursday at 8:25 a.m. for a new program, Data Protection Matters. Starting June 4, 2024, join us as we delve into crucial topics that will keep you informed and compliant. Data Protection Matters is hosted by Chuck Cameron, founder of Design Privacy, your trusted partner in data protection. Don't miss out. That's every Tuesday morning at 8:20 and every Thursday at 8:25 a.m. Stay protected, stay informed with Nationwide 90 FM and Design Privacy.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening. It's 6:41 and it's time for the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Well, a circuit court judge in Montgomery County, Maryland, Sharon Burchell, has rejected an application from attorneys for convicted Jamaican sniper Lee Boyd Malvo to vacate his 2006 murder convictions. The judge heard the motion to vacate Malvo's pleas in relation to 6 murders during the 2002 DC sniper attacks.
Malvo, currently serving multiple life sentences in Virginia, attended Tuesday's hearing virtually. His attorneys argued that his sentence was illegal under the 8th Amendment. Malvo was aged 17 during the span of the shootings, but as we hear in this report from WUSA 9 News in Washington, Judge Burrell denied the motion.
Malvo's attorney argued that all 6 of his convictions in Montgomery County should be vacated. For years, Maryland courts have been trying to figure out the logistics of giving Malvo a new sentence after the state Supreme Court ruled that in most cases, people under the age of 18 couldn't be sentenced to life without parole. Malvo was 17 when he and John Ali Muhammad killed 10 people and critically wounded 3 others across the DMV back in 2002, better known as the DC sniper attacks. Malvo is currently serving 4 life sentences in Virginia. Again, that news just a few minutes ago. The judge in this hearing denying that motion, saying that there's no basis to vacate a plea. Malvo's sentencing is postponed indefinitely.
Malvo was charged with the deaths of James Martin, Sonny Buchanan, Prem Kumar Walakar, Sari Ramos, Lori Ann Lewis Rivera, and Conrad Johnson. In April 2021, the state of Maryland banned life sentences for juveniles, and then in August 2022, the state Supreme Court ruled that the circuit court should have Malvo resentenced.
Well, Malvo sued for relief, and the court agreed to review his case. Oral arguments began in February 2022. So we're now joined by forensic social worker for Boyd Malvo. That's Carmita, that's Alabaros, I hope I got that right, and Washington, D.C. journalist who was responsible for producing sniper coverage for Fox News. That's Terry Tolliver. They now join us. Good evening, and thank you as always.
Good evening. Yes, the name is Carmita Alvarez, and I'm actually based in New York.
We are hardly hearing you. If we can.
The problem is that I'm actually driving because I thought we were going to be connecting at 6:20 my time. So, it might be a little bit muffled. But
all right,
you're coming in clearly.
We're coming in now
Ms.
clearly.
Alvarez.
So, well, let me start with you then. Give us a background to this story of Boyd Malvo for those who were not following that story back in 2002.
Okay, well, I read something in the Gleaner yesterday regarding this whole situation with Malvo and Muhammad, where they were, it was categorized as partners. And, I really want to make it clear that they were not partners. Malvo came under the influence of Muhammad when he was 15 years old, when he was left in Antigua by his mother, who had gotten an illegal visa from this man, Muhammad, and traveled to the United States. And that is the time that he came under the influence of Muhammad. And Muhammad molded this young man into what he became, the DC sniper. And so, there was no equality. And as far as the Supreme Court, Malvo was tried in Virginia. At the time that he was tried, I was brought in as the mitigation specialist, forensic social worker to work on the case. He was taken to Virginia because at the time there was no death penalty in the federal system for shootings that were done in the D.C. area, or in Maryland, there was no death penalty there. And so that's why he was taken to Virginia. He received a life sentence, but then, 2 years later, in 2005, death penalty was, taken off the table for all persons under the age of 18. And then, subsequent to that, there was a decision in the Supreme Court where it ruled that individuals who were under 18 at the time of their offense should not be sentenced to spend the rest of their life in prison. And then here comes the situation with Malvo, who had so many charges in different jurisdictions. Most of them, decided to go with the Supreme Court and to impose a sentence with parole, such as Virginia. The problem was that Maryland was very resistant to that. And so his lawyers had to challenge, Maryland's position that he should be resentenced. And that's where all of this is coming about, because Malvo had, after coming to the realization of what he did, and that was in 2006, he decided that he needed to come clean and testify against Muhammad. And so he was not tried in Maryland. He testified against Muhammad in Maryland, and he took a plea. And the plea resulted in a life sentence. And because of this Miller decision, that is why they had to have a resentence. So I visited with Malvo about 2 months ago, because he had been moved from where he was in Red Onion State Prison, which is the highest level of confinement in the state of Virginia, to a prison that is of a lower category. And this happened because Lee had sued the Department of Correction in Maryland for inhumane conditions that he and other protected custody inmates were living under in Red Onion State Prison. And so, he was sent to this other prison in Virginia, and I met with him, and he, told me that what was going on as far as Maryland was concerned, in terms of, the delay in getting into Maryland so that he could, he could be resentenced in Maryland, hoping that the sentences would run concurrent and he would one day have the opportunity to be released. So, that is the backdrop of what was happening. And apparently, and I didn't know that they were going to put a motion to vacate the plea, because Lee does not want that. When I met with him 2 months ago, he said all he wants, he does not want to go through another situation where there's a trial to re-traumatize the victim. He just wants to have to be sentenced, but he was also hoping that it would be concurrent. So he wouldn't end up with a situation where he would have to do 25 or whatever time he did in Virginia, and then have to go to Maryland and do another whatever, because it would essentially, lead to spending the rest of his life in prison, which was not the intent of the decision in Miller. So, so that's where all of that came in. And because there has been a resistance on the part of Virginia to transport him to Maryland, that has been the problem. And so, his lawyer's position is, well, if he cannot be taken to court so he can be sentenced, well, then we think that the plea should be vacated. But I don't think that is something that Lee particularly wants, because he does not want to put the victims through another trauma of a trial.
Terry Tolliver, you covered the D.C. sniper attacks quite closely. Can I ask you, what do you make of this attempt to have the case against him vacated and the subsequent ruling by the judge?
Well, I can say that I'm glad that Carmelita shared that she spoke to Malvo and that he has no interest in putting the victims' families and the survivors through another grueling court proceeding. That period in October of 3 weeks when the snipers were terrorizing this area was something that I have never witnessed before. I mean, from the first shootings, they occurred at gas stations and on street corners, and the level of terror that people felt in this region. Gas stations were putting up big white tarps, so when you pulled into the gas station, you couldn't see the person outside of their car pumping gas. People were in parking lots going to grocery stores, running in a zigzag just in case they were in the snipers' crosshairs. People were not going to doctor's appointments, and children, once Iron Brown was shot at his middle school, he was in the 7th grade, people were afraid to send their kids to school. So the sheer grip that the snipers had on this area, in this region during that time was unimaginable. So I'm glad that she did share that that is not something that he wants people in this region to relive, especially survivors and the victims' families. I think that there are a whole host of other factors that would have had to go into retrying Malvo, especially in this area in Montgomery County where he shot and killed 6 people. I did speak to the state's attorney a few weeks ago when this was all under consideration, and he felt the same. He had the same sentiment that, having to go through a trial and that kind of thing would just be, astronomical. And it just wasn't because Malvo still has those other sentences that he has to serve. It just wasn't a consideration that they felt, and many people in the region felt was something that was necessary. Now, I myself have a very unique perspective because I was able to come to Jamaica and speak to Lee's primary school teacher, and we talked to his dad, and through one of the producers there, a Jamaican producer, Sonia Stewart, that I met there, she was able to take us to different aspects and investigate different aspects of his life. And for sure, he was not a partner. I think he took a little boy and turned him into a monster. John Muhammad did. And so I do feel not that he is the monster that a lot of people in this region feel. He was definitely groomed and mistreated and, created to be and to fulfill John Muhammad's demonic plan that he had for him. But at the same time, there are 10 people and families and mothers and daughters and people who are still grieving to this day because of the actions that he was behind. So again, I can understand the judge's reluctance to vacate those sentences and have them commuted so that they will, serve concurrently. And thanks, Carmelita, for really explaining that, because I think that, the understanding of what is behind that and why it was asked for is really important.
Help us to understand, though, Terry, the basis on which Judge Sharon Burrell rejected the application made by Malvo's lawyers.
Well, the only thing, again, that I can offer is that, from the conversations that I've had with the initial attorneys and judicial staff that worked on these cases in concurrence with Virginia, D.C., there were also attorneys involved from Seattle, Washington, that they, again, worked in the beginning to create this foundation where these sentences or the punishments would be dealt out the way that they have been laid out. And again, as Carmelita explained, I mean, even if those sentences or those sentences in Maryland were vacated because of the updates in the laws, he still has these other sentences that he has to serve. So I think that they're weighing, again, what would be the benefit of vacating these sentences if, I think that what she kind of hinted at, and I think is true, is that, Malvo would have some hope of possibly getting out in years from now, or possibly having some glimmer of hope. But when you weigh that with the loss and, the terror and the things that would involve financially putting together another case or like having these cases vacated, I think that the consensus is that it stands, like that it's going to stand. The sentences are going to stand in Maryland.
Ms. Alvarez, I understand then that they rejected the vacating of the sentences, but does that mean that's the end of it? Will they no longer try to at least resentence him?
Well, it has been put indefinitely, so we don't know when it is going to happen. things are always moving. And so there may come a time where he may be able to be transferred from Virginia to Maryland to be resentenced, or, with his attorneys and, wherever it's practical, to have it virtual. There was a problem doing it virtual from what I read because of, logistics. But it may happen like that. And so she put it off because on the one hand, his lawyer is saying, well, we want him to be there. And the governor of Virginia is saying, well, we're not going to be sending him there. And so he went up for parole in 2022. I think he goes up for parole again in 2024. He may get parole. If he gets parole, then he would be sent to Maryland, at which time, he could be sentenced, and they could impose whatever sentence they're going to impose. So it's not a thing that the matter is over. It's just that this is what you have now, because there was the expectation when I met with him that there would be a resentencing sometime towards the end of the year, and he would be transferred to Maryland for this to take place. So essentially that is the situation. But I would just really like to alert the Jamaican population, and whoever is listening, really, that Lee Malvo has gone through, and I want to be very careful about transformation, because just as the journalist who you just spoke with said, she went and she spoke to individuals, which I did in terms of my assessment of the case when I worked on the case. This was a really good child, brilliant young man, a Christian boy. He walked how many miles to get baptized in the Seventh-day Adventist Church months before he went to Antigua. And then his life was taken over by this man. And when he came to the realization of what he had done in 2006, he wanted to die. As a matter of fact, he wanted to kill himself. He felt so bad because he was in a fog all this time. And when it hit him what he had done, that is the reason why he called up. He sent a letter to the prosecutor and say, I want to side with the victim. I want to testify against Muhammad. And you can just sentence me to life. He didn't ask for anything. And it's after since then that the Miller decision came in, where the Supreme Court said that, to sentence someone under the age of 17 to life does not take into consideration that the brain is still being developed even up until the age of 25. And so persons like that should not be totally thrown away by the system. They should be given some element of hope. And that is what. And Malvo has been to college. He's an ordained minister because he did all of the courses. He has been a model inmate. And so if anybody has been rehabilitated and have come out of that system, of that control that this man had over him, it is Boyd Malvo.
So in a sense then, Carmita,
so,
you can confirm really that he has made strides in terms of rehabilitation and personal growth.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a young man who was desperate for a parent. His mother left him, his father abandoned him, and Muhammad took him in when he was sick and at death's door. 6 weeks after I started working with this boy, he started calling me Mom. And he called me Mom up until 2006, when he came out of that fog and realized that he had to do something because he felt so bad that he had taken these people's lives.
Terry Tolliver, have you had a chance to revisit and speak to any of the families of the victims of the attacks and ask them what they would think of Mr. Malvo essentially being given the opportunity to essentially, rejoin society, so to speak, at this point in time, having spent essentially his entire adult life in prison thus far?
Well, I have not spoken to victims' families in regards to whether he should be released and able to rejoin society. I would never, I don't think, ask them that question. The young boy that was shot in middle school, Iron Brown, he was shot when he was in the 7th grade, and he's now an adult. We did have a chance to speak to him on the sniper anniversary. And, he had some severe injuries. I mean, it's amazing that he actually survived that attack. And I think it came out later that, when Malvo was directed to shoot him by John Muhammad, he, did not quite focus his weapon on him the way that he should have in order to make a fatal shot. So, I mean, I know that there were times in this whole attack that Malvo probably saw glimpses of conscience and knew that he was not doing the right thing, but of course he was under his control. Iron Brown, said that it was just such a battle to get his life back and to recover from that situation. He could not in his psyche understand what happened, and the only thing that he could do for himself to be able to go on living was to forgive in that situation. And so whether he would be as so open to say that Malvo should be released to rejoin society, I cannot say, but I know that his life was he lived like he was traumatized. I mean, he really had aspirations to do engineering and some other things. And, when we spoke to him, he was just kind of getting back on his feet. He did not finish. He finished through high school, but didn't go to college. He didn't kind of fulfill his life dreams. He had like medical problems, which he still has to this day. So I understand that this is a boy that was groomed, but we also have, school shootings here that, the kids did not have the best circumstances at home, that they were abused, that they were put in situations that no child should ever endure. And I can understand that those are mitigating circumstances, but at the same time, we have these victims and we have the survivors that, what are we telling them that, the person that took their loved one's life, their life is more important than the victim that the loved one that you lost. So he was not sentenced to death, which I think that was a consideration of the mitigating circumstances that he had to endure under Muhammad's care. But whether he should, that should kind of just be washed away, I can't say that would be something that I think that at least Iron Brown would want to consider.
Certainly a lot to consider morally and ethically.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yes.
Ms.
May I
Albers.
just add? Yes. Yes. I just wanted to add that, some years ago, I was actually contacted by the daughter of a victim who wanted, was in turmoil and wanted to hear from Lee. Mm-hmm. And that was coordinated. And she was able to write to him. He was able to write to her. And she said her life began when she was able to forgive him. And she is one of those persons who her father was, he was not one of the DC Stafford victims, because there were a lot of other murders that took place prior to them actually arriving in the DC area. The first one was in Washington State, the very first murder. Okay, and this one was in Arizona, and the daughter of the victim in Arizona, who was shot on the golf course, she reached out and she has said it, on a number of occasions, that she recognized that he was manipulated. Mohammed's wife said the first victim of her husband was Lee Malvo. And so while I understand, that punishment is warranted and punishment, has to be delivered, I also believe that this young man, there is not one evil bone in Lee Malvo post when he came to the realization of what he did. I will not say that he is the same innocent child who everyone knew in Jamaica, but he certainly is not the monster that was created by John Mohammed.
A lot there to consider. And he lives
his life now as an example to others. His writings reflect what he wants others to learn from his experience. And, there is a lot of healing and there's a lot of growth through forgiveness. And that is what this daughter shared with me. She was able to regain her life when she was able to forgive.
That is Carmita Albaras. She is the forensic social worker for Lee Boyd Malvo. And we also had with us the Washington, D.C. journalist who covered the D.C. sniper attacks for Fox News. That's Terry Tolliver. Thank you both for joining us, ladies.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Okay, take care now.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good evening. More after this break.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Choose your life insurance coverage, apply, and pay online. Live the e-life with Sagicor Life. The time by Sagicor Life is
7:09.
Energize your life the right way with DBJ. Yeah, you must can save enough energy solution. Choose one today for your house or your business. Money I go save. Yeah, DBJ. Energize your life the right way. The Development Bank of Jamaica Limited is here to help you with the purchase and installation of renewable energy systems to help you save on your energy bill. Contact your business banker or bank today. Energize your business or home the right way with DBJ Energy Loan.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy and several women.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation.
Those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311 MOCA at 888-6622-847.
NIB at 811 or the JDN at 837-8888.
Together, we will defeat the gangs and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
Tie your laces, put on something purple, and support the CIBC Caribbean Walk for the Cure. Join us at Hope Gardens on Sunday, October 6th at 6 a.m. We're walking, running, and moving in the fight against cancer. Sign up today at runningeventsja.com. Registration fee $3,000 includes your Walk for the Cure t-shirt while supplies last. CIBC Walk for the Cure, Sunday, October 6th, 6 a.m. at Hope Gardens. All proceeds in aid of the Jamaica Cancer Society.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, as we head into the third and final hour. We're still over in the United States, where news came in just this day that New York City Mayor Eric Adams was indicted on federal charges earlier. The allegations are that he secured bribes from foreign nationals and illegal campaign contributions in exchange for favors, which included helping Turkish officials get fire safety approvals for a new diplomatic building in the city.
Adams, a former captain in the New York City Police Department, faces conspiracy, wire fraud, and bribery charges in a 5-count indictment that describes a decade-long trail of crimes. At a news conference announcing the charges, the U.S. Attorney for Manhattan, Damian Williams, said Adams had a duty to disclose gifts he received, but kept the public in the dark. At a separate news conference outside Gracie Mansion, Adams said he doesn't plan to resign from his job and of running the country's largest city.
He urges New Yorkers to wait to hear his legal team's defense and his side of the story before making any judgments. And to discuss this, we are now joined by journalist Lester Hines and a member of Eric Adams' transition team for education, Dr. Karen Dunkley. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir Hines, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening. How are you?
We unfortunately it seems we've lost Dr. Dunkley. We are trying to reconnect with them, but we will press on with Lester Hines. So, Lester Hines, as you understand it, do you have a better understanding than we do of the charges that have been brought against Eric Adams in this indictment?
No, the charges that have been laid out by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York are broad charges. These will be, remember that these were charges that were handed up by a grand jury. And so when it comes to the court, going before the court, more information will be forthcoming in terms of depth of the charges. Now, the fact that these charges have come about would suggest that somebody from the mayor's inner circle is speaking with the attorney's office, the federal attorney's office, because that's where the information would be coming from that would lead to these charges. But let's take a step back and look back at the history of Eric Adams. Eric Adams was a captain in the NYPD. He ran for state to become a state senator, and he won. Well, during that campaign, there were whispers about Eric, but nobody paid a lot of attention to it because it just seems to be background noise. Then when he ran to become borough president of Brooklyn, the whispers got a little louder. But again, nobody paid much attention to it. Then when he ran for mayor, then the whispers got even louder. And so you had all this information swirling around in the public sphere about Eric. And people are wondering whether or not there would have been charges against him, or whether or not these were just political enemies that were putting forward information that was not credible. Well, as we now know, several of the people in his inner circle had their electronic devices, phones, laptop, iPad, seized. The mayor had his phone and iPad seized just as he left a function. And so it was only a matter of time before the charges would have been handed out.
And Lester, how does this affect, if in any way, the mayor performing his duty? Because in his news conference today, he indicated that he's not stepping aside.
Okay, there will be some effect on the performance of his duties, because he would have to set aside time to meet with his attorneys, to be going over and preparing for a court case. There are some people who have already asked that he resign from the position. He said he's not going to resign. But I think if the question for him to resign gets louder with people like Senator Schumer, the minority leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Meeks, if those people start calling on him to resign, then the pressure is going to build, and I don't think that he will be able to withstand the pressure. Now, if he resigns, the public advocate becomes the acting mayor. The governor could also fire him from the position, but I don't think that the government wants to take that step. So I think that it will be more a build-up of pressure on him to step aside rather than somebody going and firing him. And so I think that what we need to look for in the coming days are the positions that will be taken by, as I said, Senator Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and of course Congressman Meeks. Interestingly, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, whose parents, are Jamaican, she put out a statement today. And in that statement, she did not call on him to resign. She asked people to let the process play out, that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and everyone has to have their day in court. So one doesn't know if there's going to be a sustained call over the next couple of days for him to leave, or whether or not they're just going to let him ride it out and get before the courts.
But don't you think that there may be political pressure behind closed doors to get him to resign instead of those individuals doing it publicly?
Oh, there is going to be political pressures behind closed doors for him to resign, but the political pressures behind closed doors will not necessarily lead to his going. It's when it becomes public These people are really calling for him to step aside. That's when the pressure is going to build. Please remember that the mayor has a very, very low popularity rating in the city right now. It's one of the lowest that any mayor has had. And so there is going to be some level of pressures for him to give up and step away from the position. I don't think that he's going to do it willingly. I think that the pressure would have to build in terms of him, and the next couple of days will determine where we go. Now, please remember that Mayor Adams has achieved some successes as mayor. You know, the crime rate in New York City is one of the lowest crime rates of any big city in the U.S. The educational system has started to turn around. So there are successes that we can point to in terms of his administration. For myself, I am somewhat disappointed about all of this, primarily because I remember when David Dinkins was mayor, became the first black mayor of New York. I had high hopes for him. He did not meet the things that he needed to do. He never won something in the NYPD. We always said that, okay, they're not going to be a situation where his administration will be tainted. And so we were looking forward to see how he operated. But he made a number of missteps. He appointed people to positions that they were not qualified for.
I'd like to bring in
people with.
Sorry, Mr. Hines, but I'd like to bring in Dr. Dunkley. Are you there, Dr. Dunkley?
Yes. Hi. Good evening to you and your listeners. Good evening, Lester.
Good evening, Dr. Dunkley. Based on what has been released so far to the public from this indictment, it looks quite disturbing. Are you troubled by what's been brought out so far?
Certainly, we are concerned. I think what Lester stated must be amplified, that this is due process. He is innocent until proven guilty. That is the hallmark of the judicial system. And what we cannot have and will not have is two systems that have always existed, especially for Black men in America. So while we're certainly concerned, there are 5 charges. We see wire fraud is really broad. I happen to have some knowledge, broad knowledge of this at an FBI level. And so wire fraud really allows the government to pursue several avenues, right? And so that is going to be and should be of concern to Mayor Adams. This bribery as well should be of concern. And then certainly the contributions of the Foreign National, which really they are sharing in the campaign finance. You're able to have matching funds when individuals donate to your campaigns. And they're alleging that they funnel these donations through individuals as straw donations, which of course we would know are illegal. Is that these methods are illegal, but I just want to amplify that he is innocent until proven otherwise.
And do you believe he should step aside?
Just to follow up on something that Dr. Dunkley said. No political candidate in the U.S. is allowed to accept overseas donation to the campaign. It's not done. If you're an American citizen who is living in Jamaica, for instance, and you want to donate to a campaign, you can do that because you're an American citizen. But if you're a foreign government or a foreign entity, like an NGO or whatever other entity, you are not allowed to donate to a political campaign in the U.S., and it is a crime.
Understood. But Dr. Dunkley, I still would like to ask you, do you believe that the mayor should at least, if for the time being, step aside in order to allow the process to continue, or do you believe he should stay in office, all things considered?
So what I believe is that the mayor should remain in office. The reason is, again, by him stepping down based on the indictment, the formal accusation, based on the charges which he has vowed, I think that's going to be deeply personal. But if we were to look at the history of these kinds of cases in America, let us just take, for example, that we have a candidate who is still contesting a presidential election while he too himself is under indictment. And so what we will not do, and I will not ever endorse, are two different methods or systems of justice, one for Black men and one for white men. I think that if Mayor Adams can prove in his heart and in the mind and to the people of the great city of New York that he is competent, he's able to perform his job without being distracted, as Lester highlighted, then he should continue. However, we do recognize that behind the scenes, we will see some amount of pressure applied. That was not unusual. We saw what has happened, especially within the Democratic Party. There seems to be a trend. I'm not saying it's always, but there appears to be a trend of asking those individuals who are elected to step aside or to sit out the remainder of tenure in their office when they're under investigation.
Isn't that
but I
the
think
right
that Mayor
thing
Adams
to do, though,
should
Dr.
continue.
Dunkley? And certainly I don't think that there's any comparison with a Donald Trump, because he's in a different category by himself with the things that he would normally do. But isn't it the right thing to do, to step aside, to clear your name, and once your name is cleared, then you can always go back to run for political office?
I think the right thing to do is to do what the law has instructed all of us to do. And the law says that we're entitled to due process, that you're innocent until proven guilty, that you are a servant leader of the people. I had the opportunity to serve on Mayor Adams' transition team and worked very closely in putting in place. We heard Lester speak about the progress in the education system. And so I think that, again, that until we have new information or other information at this time, the 5 indictments, look at the one count of bribery is saying that he received heavily discounted luxury travel and that he had undue influence over getting the Turkish consulate that would have posed some violations around the fire, right? So I just want to, again, hold a space for due process. I don't believe at this time, I think it's premature for him to step aside. I really do. If we get new information, he knows what they have. They have done they've issued a raid, they've done their search, and they've done the seizure. So he's communicating with his lawyers. In that communication, if his lawyers advise him that they believe it is in his interest and also in the interest of the people, because we serve the people first to step aside, then he should do so. But right now, at this moment in time, I think that he owes it to the process to stand in and, like he says, if he knows he's innocent, to fight.
But what about the potential distractions that may exist? Because as Lester indicated, the time will now have to be spent sitting with his lawyers, trying to clear his name. Don't you think that that's going to distract from the work that he has to do as mayor?
I think it may certainly take away from it, but it's situational leadership. The mayor is not new. He served in several high-profile positions. As we know, he was borough president, right? And so even at that time, Lester did explain, and it's right in the records, that this alleged, the indictment and what he is being formally accused of has been ongoing for years. And so it's situational leadership. He is not a newbie. He understands certainly that in Jamaica, we said the higher the monkey climb, the more him exposed. So he understands that he will have to commit some resources, including his time, to protect his name. At the same time, the concern here is that, and I'm speaking to by the way, in my capacity as serving as a consultant for the Department of Justice, that if it is that you are accused and you decide to step aside, then it means that justice is not done. Remember, we say that justice must appear to be done. And so the appearance of justice is just as important as the fact that it is done. And so therefore, it is his right to stand in and take whatever time he needs. I would refrain from distraction. He will have to commit some resources. And so maybe some other things that he would give his time to will now need to take a back burner. But absolutely, if he's innocent, he has 5 counts, right? And look again at the counts. Wire fraud, extremely broad. Bribes, solicitation of a contribution, foreign national 2 counts, and bribery. If he believes that this is fabricated or embellished, then he needs to challenge. And what we cannot do and should not do is simply acquiesce when charges are brought against us.
Lester Hines, I'd like to bring you back in. Apart from the concerns of him not being able to potentially do his full duty, is there a potential risk of having somebody in such a high position having an investigation of such serious implications, with the potential of him essentially interfere with that investigation?
He's not in a position to interfere with the investigation. Remember, this is a federal investigation. It's not a local investigation. And the person who is leading that investigation and that brought the charges, by the way, happens to be Jamaican, has Jamaican roots. Damian Williams is a very meticulous person when it comes to bringing charges against anyone. And so I am sure he would not have gone to a grand jury, and he would not have gotten the indictments he got unless he thought he was on solid ground. And again, I would like to, I believe, I don't have this as information, but I do believe that that there are people within the mayor's circle who are probably trying to cut a deal with Williams, and so they are providing information. Now, will it tarnish his name? Maybe, unless he's proven innocent. Will it have an impact on the political landscape in New York? Maybe, because, and the reason I say maybe, it's because New York is an overwhelmingly Democratic city. And so while you can say it's a Democratic mayor that has been indicted, I don't think that the long-term effect is going to be there on any other person who runs on the Democratic ticket to become mayor of New York. And there are several people who are already lining up to run.
And just to put it to you as well, Karen Dunkley, aren't you concerned by the fact that it seems many of the mayor's colleagues are abandoning you in droves? There have been quite a few people resigning from their posts.
So again, you're using the term abandon, and I think we are, so we're clearly concerned that.
Let me say, use the term, they've distanced themselves from him.
Yeah, so let's just reframe, because you're saying abandon, right? So we know that there are several staff members. So first of all, the staff members to which you speak have been close friends of the mayor over decades. And we know that because of they're also under investigation, they have decided that at this time it is better for them. These decisions are very personal. Again, as someone who has been involved in these kinds of investigations, both as an expert with the Department of Justice and then as a part of the investigation itself, right? Having worked with clients who have been indicted. So having said that, it's very deeply personal. So we know, for example, that there was a first deputy who was married to the chancellor of schools. The chancellor has decided that he will step aside at the end of the year. We know that there are some brothers involved. There are 3 brothers. And we know that the police commissioner, Edwin Caban, he has stepped aside. So I wouldn't say abandon. I think individuals are looking at the entire situation. They're thinking about where they fit, what this means in terms of their life cycle, their professional cycle, their families, and they are deciding that in the interest, number one, of themselves, and then whatever professional or personal obligations, then they should distance themselves from their roles. I don't necessarily think the frame of them abandoning the mayor. These are his lifelong friends and allies and confidants that he has had over time.
Dr. Dunkley, have you been able to speak to anyone within the Democratic Party to see where they stand on this matter? Is it that they are in support of the mayor staying in office and trying to clear his name?
The Democratic Party is ambivalent, and it is, so the short answer is yes. But what we again see with the Democrats when it comes on to these kinds of issues, they do not take a definitive line in the sand. They don't draw it. They become ambivalent, as Lester said, where behind the scenes, political pressure mounts on the persons to step aside because, again, they prefer not to play this out in the court of public opinion. And I think what we have heard, especially in this election cycle, we're in a presidential election cycle, and that does have an impact where it appears that any hint of corruption, we have to couple this in terms of how people are viewing this. Like, here it goes again, you know, as Lester shared, that now we have this black mayor for the second time. He's the first, it's historic again. He's the first sitting mayor of New York City to ever have been formally accused, i.e. indicted of a crime. So I think the Democrats are ambivalent. What we would say to them is that I would want the justice system to play out. If America is a system where you're innocent until proven guilty, where due process is your constitutional right and obligation, then I think at a minimum, he's entitled to that. So the ambivalence is hypocritical if you were to ask me. If he were a white mayor of New York, where would the Democratic Party stand?
And Lester, what is this thing I'm hearing, Lester, as it relates to Andrew Cuomo? He's eyeing the job of mayor?
His name has been tossed around that he may be, but he has not formally indicated that he's going to be running for mayor of New York City. But let me just get back to one thing. I reached out to the Democratic leaders, both in the Senate, in the House, also in the boroughs, and also in Albany, to try and gauge their positions. And right now, nobody's talking. Everybody is sort of taking a let's wait and see attitude. Only a couple of people have come out, and Congresswoman AOC was the first one to call for him to resign. But everybody else has taken a wait-and-see attitude. And I think until they get more information arising out of the indictment, I don't think you'll see the pressure for him to step aside until everything has come. They're able to read it, to find out what's going on, and how serious the charges are.
We have to leave it there. But thank you, as always, journalist Lester Hines and also Dr. Karen Dunkley, a member of Eric Adams' transitional team for education. Thank you, as always, for your time.
Thank you.
Good night. You're welcome.
What good?
Well, quite the pickle there over in the United States on all fronts, it would seem. Sanjay, it's such a strange situation being.
I really don't see, Siobhan, him staying in office for much longer, because understanding the politics of it, I think behind closed doors, the pressure is going to mount for him to resign. And just like what happened with Governor Andrew Cuomo, where he indicated that he's going to stay in office to clear his name, and not long after the pressure came and he had to resign, I think the very same will happen with Eric Adams.
And I wonder how this will, if it will at all, have any impact on the ongoing elections in the United States.
No.
Do you see this swaying any voters in any way?
No, New York
Deep blue state.
New York is a blue state. It will have absolutely no impact at all on the presidential election. I don't see that happening any at all. But I would suspect, though, Chevron, that the Democrats would want to have this situation under control quickly. And as indicated by Dr. Dunkley, knowing how the Democrats operate, you're not going to see them coming out and outrightly supporting Eric Adams. As with the Republicans, their style is like that, to come out and outrightly support whomever is part of their party. The Democrats, they will not do that. And I suspect that they are going to, pressure will mount for Eric Adams to resign. But I don't see it affecting the presidential race at all.
Well, listeners, you're calling for it, so we're going to take your calls in the few minutes that remain, and the numbers again are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. So let's take this as a break, and you can come chat with us.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a famous gamer with viral videos all over the internet. I'm going to be rich. Good thing I'll already know how to take care of my money since Mommy got me this Sure Start account.
Open a CIBC Caribbean Sure Start account for your kids and give them a head start on financial smarts with a $1,200 sign-up bonus from us. We believe in their dreams as much as you do, so let's get them going together. Start young, start strong with Sure Start from CIBC.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers, and we're taking your calls for the last few minutes. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Omalo, you're on the line.
Yeah, good evening, Ricard. Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Omalo.
Let me ask you, because maybe I maybe not quite, know this. What's the mandate of MOCA?
You mean the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's in the name, to tackle major organized crime and to tackle corruption.
Why we don't get rid of the director of corruption in the Integrity Commission and merge MOCA and the Integrity Commission together?
I think that was put forward at one point, but there's a clear issue here because the Integrity Commission has a specific mandate as it relates to public servants, whereas MOCA is far broader in terms of corruption in general across businesses and just in society in general. So if you merge the two, you would run into a few issues.
No, MOCA still could carry out their duty, and the law could state what they could do.
But why do you want to expand the role of MOCA? Because MOCA already, they have a lot to deal with as it relates to major organized crimes. And there are several public entities that the Integrity Commission, they have to, in essence, police. Remember, it's not only politicians that have to submit their statutory declaration, There are public officials, civil servants who also have to do it, and they have to go through all of that. So the mandate of the Integrity Commission is wide. So you're going to now add that to MOCA? No, that's too much, Omalo.
When the Integrity Commission goes through all that they have to go through, when it comes on to investigation, you turned it over to Mocha. Why we have a director of investigation? When Mocha
But imagine, Omala, it took them, 3 years to give us what I consider not even a complete report, but 3 years to give us a report on the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. Imagine now if that was part of a larger organization of Mocha who has to chase down every avenue of corruption on top of doing the investigations into the Prime Minister and other public officials.
It would be only when you're investigating a crime, you turn it over to Mocha. Mocha not going to involve in certifying nothing and all of that. The commission will do that. But when it comes on to investigation...
But, Omalo, that's why we have 3 different arms of the Integrity Commission, You have a complaints department, you have an investigative department, and you have a prosecutorial department.
Why do we need all of that?
Because the way our system is set up, it required a specific mandate. Even before the Integrity Commission, we had 3 bodies to do this work, wherein it would fall to the DPP to do the prosecutions. And even then we found that situation was unwieldy.
Siobhan, it is the law that set up the system to do what the system is doing.
But the law was set up to solve a mischief that already existed, in that we had 3 different bodies to handle this matter of investigating corruption in public service, and it was an unwieldy system, and that then fell to the DPT to prosecute. And how many times was the country criticized both locally and internationally because the DPP wouldn't take up certain cases for prosecution?
It was untidy, Omalo, the way how the law was set up initially.
In the form of somebody else that sends his investigation to the director of prosecution, and all she do is reject them same way. We get back the same thing that we had when we have the contractor general.
But that's not entirely true. We have had quite a few prosecutions moved forward under Mrs. Keisha Prince Kimika.
We had that in the DPP office too. We had quite a few in the DPP. We get
an emphasis on the few.
It's as if you all don't. You got to be thinking outside the box, Can't just think.
It's not a matter of thinking outside of the box, Omalo. We had a system, it didn't work, and we changed the system after much hand-wringing.
You get back the same thing. It's the same thing you get back.
So, Omalo, so what is your solution? Ask Mocha to handle everything related to statutory declaration?
What Mocha do? Mocha is there to investigate corruption. If the Integrity Commission find out that they have to go further with anything to find out about corruption, they turned it over to Mocha. What is wrong with that?
All right, Omar.
Mocha is there to investigate corruption. If the Integrity Commissioner find out that they have to investigate, they don't turn it over to somebody inside here that comes like Greg Christie and not coming up with nothing.
Okay, Omar. I think Siobhan already answered that.
All right, Omar. Thank you for your call. Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Lewis. Good evening.
Good evening, Faithful.
Mr. Campbell. Two questions here. The forensic audit that the Integrity seek oversee, the forensic audit investigate the enlistment of corruption that the investigative prime minister for. In other words, I think they say it was on 2 phases. One with his parents' bank account, and the next phase have to do with his business investment that they have.
My reading of the report is that the forensic auditor, his job, or I don't know if it's their job was to essentially find out the nuances and the interplay of the different accounts and how the funds were transferred between them. I still, to this day, even after reading that report multiple times, don't quite understand where the work of the forensic auditor ended and the work of the director of investigations began. I still don't see where it comes out in the report, which is why I would like to see a specific, separate document which outlines the findings of the forensic auditor.
All right, that's one. In my mind, that is very ambiguous. I'm confused to say the least. That's one. Two, the investigator said that the prime minister did not answer some of the questions
No, it wasn't that he didn't answer some of the questions. He simply did not hand over some of the information they requested specific to his personal daily expenses. His personal expenses, I should say. Schedule of his personal expenses.
Right, but the lawyer have a different diverse view on that. He said that's not true.
No. The lawyer said that he handed over everything that was required because a schedule of his personal expenses is not a requirement.
Right.
So if it's not a requirement and you hand over what you're supposed to, how could they say it was less than forthcoming then?
No. But their issue is based on the financial dealings that they saw. They wanted to look on the schedule of the Prime Minister's daily expenses, so to speak, to match it against certain spending to help them to come to a conclusion or to a point of finality. And they're saying that it wasn't provided. And rightfully so, the Prime Minister's lawyer indicated that it's not a requirement.
Right. So therefore, that's a different opinion between both investigator and the Prime Minister lawyer. That's one. So, in my mind,
I don't know if it's a difference of opinion. It's just that they requested that information, and the Prime Minister's lawyers stuck to the law.
It's above and beyond what is required.
Correct.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm send it to the financial investigator. Send it to them. How long do they take to do their work?
We don't know.
I can't answer that question.
Maybe to put it straight then. What is shortest time ever take to do their work? You have no idea.
I can't answer that question with any definitive.
I don't know. I'm sure we don't know the gravity of the situation and how long they will. It's hard. It's hard to say that.
But they say they will not certify it unless everything accomplished. So therefore, it is in limbo.
For the time being, yes.
Yes.
It's in and not will get done then. So, in my mind, the least I can say, the way the investigator will think very, 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 in my mind, very entirely. Because in my mind, there's no way you should send to the Parliament and certify.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot send to the Parliament and then after send it to the
well, that is what the government members of the Integrity Oversight Committee, they're saying that based on the investigation done by the Integrity Commission and the fact that the ruling is that no criminal charges should be made against the Prime Minister, it should be certified because it's completed. That's the argument by the government members.
Let me ask this question then. The directors, mean all of them, was it all of them who decided to send it to the Parliament and certify?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question. I can't tell you if they all agreed or they simply
we don't know if they reached consensus. No, we don't know.
More confusion again. One more. Why did they not send it to the one who decided if the Prime Minister should be prosecuted, yes or no? Why did he not send it to her?
Those are the questions that we'd like to get some answers to ourselves, Omala.
Hold on, Bushevon. I don't get that. Send what?
Send.
Because what the thing that was referred to her was regarding the Prime Minister's the accounts that
the bank accounts, yes.
The bank accounts.
He's speaking the other matter why that was not referred
to rule on.
Yes, it was not sent to her. The matter regarding the supposed charge for illicit enrichment was not sent to her, is what he means. But there's no charge there, Omalo. That's the thing.
But there's no charge. So there's
nothing for her to rule on. Nothing was sent to her because there's nothing for her to rule on.
I'm not Omala.
Sorry.
Faithful is good enough. Anyways,
faithful.
Tell me what time is the meeting on Thursday? 5?
Well, it's usually 10 o'clock in the morning.
You're at 10 o'clock. Oh my God, that's what I need to see. Okay, thank you guys.
All right. Well,
Carl, evening.
Good evening. Is with the Integrity Commission supposed to meet today inside the Parliament next week, Tuesday?
Thursday, I believe. It's October 3.
October 3. Did you know that Colonel Charles Jonah is a prosecutor?
I'm not aware of his legal antecedents. I know he's a lawyer.
Thank you. Well, I'll give you something that you can go look up. Well, I would like him to be the person to tackle the judge inside yet next week, Thursday. It will be a very interesting day next week, Thursday.
I'm sure it will be quite an interesting meeting.
And Mr. Warmington must be the person who to tackle farmer advisor to Peter Phillips. And Mr. Ed Bartlett, you must let things flow next week, Thursday, sir. Anywhere Mr. Warmington want to rip them through, must give him the benefit to rip them to pieces inside there.
I don't. That's not how those.
We want to call them.
I'm sure Mr. Warmington will be given due consideration in his interrogations, but I don't think he will be allowed to rip them to pieces, as you put it, Carl.
Yeah, hold on. Did you listen how one of the prosecutor want to advise the Prime Minister? And it's like he want to school the Prime Minister in some of his language that he use inside that document. You want to school him?
I had some concerns about the language used in that Integrity Commission report myself. It seemed rather charged, but that I suppose that is within the remit of the Director of Prosecutions as he sees it. The Director of Investigations as he saw it.
But by the way, Carl, yes, I should have responded to you. Pernell Charles Jr. is a former criminal prosecutor. That's correct.
Okay,
he used to work in the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
There you have it, Carl.
Right, man. And that's why I draw that to you. It will be a very interesting day next week, Thursday.
That is something we all agree on, Carl. But we have to wrap it up. We have to wrap it up there. Time come.
I don't think you should tell that to Carl.
It's 7:58. Time for Nationwide News to wrap up this evening. Sorry, Carl. In 7:58, listeners, viewers, and I thank my super producer for the day, that's Sonia Stewart, who's filling in, our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson, all my friends and compatriots in the newsroom led by the capable Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell, and thank you, YouTubers, listeners, and viewers. It's as always a pleasure and a privilege.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. I want to wish you a wonderful rest of the evening, and we'll be back. Well, I'll be back with you tomorrow along with Ricardo. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.
The Tasty Beat promotion is here! Visit the in-town supermarket